Awesome. Here we go. So I see you're in the community. You were here December last year. So you're going on about like 8 months or so. How's the
Yeah.
how's the AI business? How's everything treating you?
Well, I'm pretty pumped with this AI stuff. Honestly speaking, I bumped on a video from N8N, this guy called Mark. You know? Yeah, so there was a YouTube video where he explains that, how it actually goes with the automation flows and everything. So I was super pumped because this is not something new to me because I have been doing automations like this way back since 2012, 2013.
Okay.
Yeah, but there's a similar tool for Node-RED is something which is very similar to what you see in N8N. You have kind of piece of blocks and you connect together and it works exactly the way it works with N8N, except the fact that N8N does much more stuff than Node-RED used to be. So Node-RED was primarily used for coding and primarily used to do home automations and things like that. Okay. So it's actually an open source project. It's again a Node project, by the way. So I was a little surprised and amazed that, Node-RED has come up like this. It's so nice to see.
Yeah.
And then I realized, hey, this is not Node-RED. This is something new. This is N8N. What the heck is
So this was so familiar to you. You're like, oh, this must be the same thing, just the version 2.
Absolutely. So if you Google Node-RED, you will see that it's an open source project and it's pretty similar to Node-RED, except the fact that it doesn't allows you to connect to multiple different integrations such as AI nodes. I don't know whether they have enabled it today or not, but it sounded pretty similar to me. And this is something which I kind of felt, this is something which I already know. Okay, so I know how things work.
It's almost identical. IBM created it, and it was primarily for devices, apparently.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, it's exactly what it is. Interesting that those weren't the folks that evolved. Nobody knows.
That's right.
At least I don't know, but I do know.
I was actually working for IBM, and I met the guy who actually created it.
Okay.
So I was super excited with Node-RED because I was pretty bumped into home assistants and home automations and things like that. So to me, this was not something which is new. This was something which was more exciting. There's a lot which has happened. So in a matter of like few years, like once GPT came into the picture and LLM became a thing, then a lot of change. So I was just thinking, oh my goodness. So there's been a leaps and bounds changes of what used to be Node-RED and now which is N8N. Okay. So that was the in moment for me because anyway, I used to do a lot of automations for home and my home for home automations. So, and I used to do some stupid stuff like when I'll be away from home, my home internet will be blocked and my son will not be able to play internet and things like that.
That's so amazing that you were doing this 12, 13 years ago when a lot of the technology was like really nebulous. Certain people knew how to do the coding.
Absolutely.
Code their garage opener to close and then make the smart home. I remember that.
Absolutely.
It evolved to like so do you feel like you're a kid in a candy store essentially where like you had this really cool tool that you used to do and it could do like maybe 5 or 6 things, but now back to like a decade later, that same tool can do like infinitely more things?
Yeah. And that's exactly where I got so pumped. I've been working as a network and security architect for quite some time. Okay. So I am apparently not from a coding background, but there was a formal education of mine which was into coding. But then I really never worked as a developer center. So from day one, I've been working mostly into network and network security. And then I kind of felt like, there are a lot of tasks which are repetitive in nature. And this is something which I can automate. So I was always curious to find out that how I can automate this thing. It was not something I never felt like to do the same stuff again and again.
I know.
But then I started feeling that if I wish that there was a way that I can automate changes to, let's say, 400 or 500 routers, in a matter of time. And that would have been so nice instead of me logging into a device and doing manual changes and things like that. So that used to, copy paste.
Exactly.
And I remember back in those days, when you're working in a large organizations, network is a very crucial thing, right? So in case if there is any change or any kind of disturbance on the network, it usually impacts the whole organization, right? So it is very crucial that you should be very much bounded within the time limit of whatever you're doing. You cannot afford to have a minute more than what your downtime window is.
Exactly.
So that was very crucial. And there was we were not 1 or 2 guys. We were like a bunch of teams who were doing a lot of stuff. So in order to make a lot of changes, that was a lot of manual work. And from there, my urge of building automation actually started. Oh, I can do this kind of changes automatically. Then I started realizing, okay, let's do some scripting. So I learned a bit of scripting. I learned a bit of shell scripting and Python scripting and things like that. It naturally transitions, and I'm a DIY guy. I like to do things. I like to play around with my electronics, anything and everything related to home automations, microcomputing or things like that. That's something which I'd love to spend my time on. And that's how I came into this home automation stuff of Home Assistant. I
Okay.
was pretty intrigued. Oh yeah, this is nice. So I can like simply walk off my house and everything like closes, everything like switches off. Well, that's nice. But if I start from office, suddenly my AC can be turned on at home. Oh, that's nice.
Right.
So that get me really pumped. And that's where I realized that, yeah, there is a way to do this much more smarter than writing your own script called Node-RED.
Right.
And I was, oh, this is fantastic, man. This is something which really everyone should know about, Node-RED. And that's how I figured out that, okay, this piece of code called Node-RED was developed by IBM. And then later I joined IBM. And the first thing which I did is I pinged this guy. Okay, and his name is Nick. So I pinged him and I said that, hey man, is it possible for you to spare some time? And we had a fantastic chat about an hour and so that how we all started and everything. So it was pretty nice. And to me, from Node-RED to Nodation on N8N is a fantastic thing. I think can
So
do a lot.
that evolution coming from Node-RED to now N8N, like what have you been able to build, or where do you think the demand is for these types of automations today? What have you seen?
So the way I look at it is that automation, the scope of automation is really everywhere. If you look at our daily life, work life, you will see that there are a lot of things. If we really think about it, you'll find that there are many things which we can automate. We want to make sure that there is a Facebook posting for my social media or my social media posting. It should go every week, every day, or whenever we wish. I wish that I should be able to ask my phone to just make a post on behalf of me about how was my day. It can be as simple as that. And it should be able to go ahead and do that. You have already seen this with automations from Siri, which can do a lot of things like that. So
they're really important, especially for business owners. They want to make sure that they're continuously advertising, sharing their updates with their audience members. And they want to post not only on Facebook, but across all of the social media platforms, right? And there's services out there that do this for a cost. I think there's a few of them, I can't remember. 99 total, I think is one of them. But now you're saying with N8N, folks can just do this automatically on a daily basis.
yes, on a daily basis.
Is it a cost limitation, a resource limitation? Like what does it take for a business owner to do that?
At the end of the day, there are platforms available. So you need to consume some APIs, and the only limitation is the limitations of these APIs. Okay. If you're not scared about breaking your bank and you can afford to utilize your API to an extent of whatever your heart desires, there's nothing which is actually stopping you, except the fact, yes, there are limitations from social media platforms such as YouTube's or Facebook's that you can hit into some sort of rate limits. Apart from that, there's no limitations. Really, I don't see anything as such.
So let me just kind of package this together a little bit. So a business owner would essentially start their subscription with N8N. They could essentially build these workflows that tie into various platforms using AI, for example, and then you could have an AI brain that would generate these posts for you. And then through that API for Facebook, you could then post daily on your profile.
And with a mix of AI, what AI can also do is search the top ranking keywords for the specific type of post you want to do. And it can include those keywords so that those social media posts are ranked high. And for example, let's say that you are owning a business, okay? You're owning a business, let's say a t-shirt, okay? And you have come up with some new designs and you want to post it. You want to make sure that, okay, these designs, you have something in mind, but I want to focus a certain type of audience for this type of t-shirts. You can really define that. You can say that now, in order to post that, you will say that, okay, someone has to describe what this t-shirt is, what is the idea behind this t-shirt. And I think LLMs these days are pretty good at it. It can really generate pretty nice descriptions of the t-shirt and define it for the right audience. If you put the system prompt correctly, it can really make the post ready to go. And then there is a way that you can review it as well. So if you're taking that route, then you can even go ahead and review that post before it is actually posted to Facebook or Instagram or things like that. So this is something which is quite easy to do.
And so
it's not rocket
t-shirt
science.
business, essentially you would have lots of pictures. Let's say you've already taken images of your t-shirt.
Yeah.
You post them on essentially like a Google Drive. And let's say you have 100 different pictures of your t-shirt. Now you generate this workflow, which would use the AI to generate the post. Then there would be another hook that would go to the Google Drive, pull the latest image based on a Google School. It'd be like a list. And then you post this image along with the post, hashtags, all the recent information based on whatever LLM is looking at, into the internet market essentially. And then you could have that, you're saying also with a human in the loop, meaning that I now get an alert before that Facebook post actually goes in, get the approval, kind of thing. And then after a few times, maybe 10 or 15, I'm like, okay, it's got the hang of it. I kind of trust it. I don't need a human anymore. Just go do it. It's like an AI agent, like a virtual assistant that's phenomenally intelligent and very, very efficient.
Yeah, absolutely. That's something which you can always do. But, I would still, the way we do for one of my clients is that we always ask that doesn't matter that how good it is today or tomorrow, you are always supposed to please ensure that someone is there in order to review it and ensure that what you're putting makes sense to the social media. The reason why is that at the end of the day, LLM is the brainchild of some sort of codes, right? Or some sort of transformers, or it's a learning machine, which it has learned and then it is developing something. So it always makes sense to do the review beforehand, before you go ahead and put it, because it's a matter of your brand. That's your crown jewels, and whatever you're actually posting, it should not be impacting your brand. So that's a whole reason why I think human in the loop is always the best options to go. And that's what I typically suggest, even though
I think that's really good advice because, like you said, you may be really comfortable today or even the next 2 weeks. What I found is a lot of these LLMs will eventually start taking an easier path. People call it hallucinations. I just call it laziness. It's like a really good worker, right? Like a human. The first 2 weeks are phenomenal. They're doing all the great work. They're putting all the fine touches, attention to detail on point. And then after 2 weeks, it's kind of like, let me just find the easier way to do this. Or my post is going to be shorter. I won't have enough hashtags. I'll give you images. And so if you kind of have to still be on it, it's not quite there. At least that's what I'm noticing with all of them. Claude, Grok, Gemini, it's all of them. Open ChatGPT.
Basically, if you look at LLM, what is an LLM? LLM, in the back of your mind, LLM, if you think about it, it's a piece of code, it's a piece of algorithm, which it knows that there is something which comes in and it just needs to process it and then spits it out. So the brain, which is basically working behind this, is something which is developed by some humans. And there are some algorithms which are structured. And it says that, okay, if this is something which comes in, this is something which goes out. It's not like a live human who's actually sitting behind, right? So it always makes sense. And LLM does not understand, so what's the value of your brand? So it's you or it's us who understands the value of the brand. So whatever goes out, which is coming out from it, it's always makes sense to review it before it goes out. And to me, I think to be very honest, to me, LLMs are kind of a helping hand for you. They're not like rocket science magic. Exactly. And you should only try to use these LLMs. My way of looking at it is that I want to use LLMs in corner cases, on the edge cases, where I see that there is absolutely no way to avoid it. That's where I will include an LLM. The reason why is that I think what business wants is automation, predictable automations. And when we say predictable automations, I know that there is a certain inputs and that should spit out something which is recognizable to the business, which the business wants. Now, if you're putting a brainchild of LLM can do a lot of things and it can hallucinate. Sometimes it's like a 5-year-old kid,
right?
And you don't know what's actually going to come out. So it's always a good point to have a look at it and ensure that it's out what you're looking for.
I like it. So Facebook posts, social media posts, that's great for automation. Can you do blogs as well? What else have you kind of taken?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So writing blog, nowadays all the LLMs are pretty mature. So you can do in-depth review of what you're asking. And then let's say that you ask an LLM to write a blog post for LLMs in 2030. It can do wonders. You just need to spend some time with it and you will see it can plan wonderful things which are not even existing today. I can suggest that, yes, this is something which we see that is going. It will create some nice graphs, it will create some nice bar charts and things like that, which will make sure that you really believe on it. And this is something which is not something I really appreciate, because at times LLM tends to be a bit more pushy to trust those LLMs.
Like how confident it is in its answer?
Yeah, so it tries to showcase that, whatever an LLM is outputting, that output must be very trustworthy to the other side of the person.
Right.
So it's in a way, it's saying, hey, you need to trust me, this is what it's going to be. And then it will build all the stories behind it so that you kind of start feeling that, yes, man, these guys have done a lot of research, so it knows. But then you need to actually go back and do some real fact checkings and to figure out that, yes, this is something which works.
Right.
So it can do a lot of blog posting. Yeah, of course, it is good in doing blog posting for something which was like past, like if you asked to do some blog post about automations as a field, it will do a lot of research from different places and it can actually build a fantastic write-ups. And then those write-ups can be further. You can go ahead and post it if you're using platforms like WordPress or Webflow. Those things you are very easily, you can connect them through an API or through an MCP server to N8N. And you can go ahead and automatically post it
and post
it'll also make sure
completely hands off, essentially.
Completely hands off, and it will also ensure that those postings are SEO optimized. So you need not even worry about all that, right? So instead of asking someone to write it for you, you can just ask an LLM to do that.
Right now, there are certain platforms that will limit it. Like you just mentioned, WordPress is great. That's automatic. WordPress is just amazing anyway because it's open source. Everybody has plugins. But things that go high level, for example, they're kind of tied down. Even though they have an API, you can't quite get all of the fields populated. Like you have to have an author, you have to have the alt text, the description of the blog, and these are these fields that you have to plug into the platform and then post your blog. But the posting the blog part is pretty decent. You can even do it in HTML, so it looks really fancy, has nice pictures, and all optimized like you're saying. So what I'm having to do, at least for the Go High Level website, is have the LLM build a blog, also have it build the image, the keys, the long keywords, the short keywords, the hashtags, all of that, and then schedule it. So I'm literally copying and pasting and then scheduling out a blog for each day. And so what I'll do is like 30-day sprints. So I'll sit down for 2 hours, I'll schedule 30 blogs, and then I don't have to worry about it for 30 days, but then I have to come back and do it again.
In a way, that's true. But if you're talking about Go High Level, there's a way that in Go High Level also you can actually create your own WordPress and connect it. And Go High Level can even allow you to connect to an external WordPress sites as well. So it's not a limitations as such with Go High Level, but what you can do is Go High Level. So basically, for example, like you have a WordPress site, and that WordPress site is, if it is only for, let's say, if it is only for blog posting, or a one-page website or things like that, it's much easier, much simpler to manage it with WordPress instead of going the route via Go High Level. Go High Level, technically what it will do is it will connect to that WordPress and try to act as a backend CRM. Okay. So if you have your customer contacts or someone is actually coming and registering for a newsletter or things like that, then that can get funneled through Go High Level contacts, and you have a ready-made contact list, which you can use at a later point in time in order to do automations.
That's a really good point. Maybe I'll try that. I'll have like a WordPress page, and then I'll just add it as like a subdomain to my primary domain, and then all the blog posts to the WordPress site.
So primarily, the way it works with Go High Level is that if you want to utilize Go High Level, you have an option called integrations from Go High Level where you need to enable WordPress. And when you enable WordPress, you're technically also paying on top of what you're actually paying for Go High Level, but there is a monthly payment. But that's something which you need to pay anywhere. Be it Go High Level, be it Hostinger or GoDaddy or wherever you're actually hosting your domain, right? So then everything really boils down to your WordPress site. And in WordPress, there are options like you can integrate an MCP server with WordPress. WordPress has its own MCP server. And if you are doing some sort of e-commerce selling through WordPress, such as with WooCommerce and things like that, even WooCommerce has an MCP, right? So
this is a content provider?
Yeah, it's a multi-context protocol.
Multi-context protocol. Wow.
Yeah, so this is basically the better way to integrate your integrations with the AI agent. Okay, it's just to put it pretty simple, but it's much more behind the curtains because it's basically kind of the language of love between the integrations and the AI agent. And AI agent wants it to be in a certain way. So the best way it works is that you have an MCP server. You connect all your integrations with the MCP server.
Okay.
And this MCP server then defines that what all it can go ahead and do. So for example, let's say that you have a WordPress site, right? So a WordPress site can have hundreds of pages, some posts, some users, or some sort of plugins. So you can have an MCP server. And if you're utilizing an MCP server for WordPress, that MCP server is basically have some predefined codes which it can query. Let's say that you integrate that MCP server to Cloud Desktop or to N8N. Okay, you can simply chat with N8N or chat through Cloud. If the tool is connected and the MCP server is connected via the MCP client, then it will help you to do any changes on WordPress without even touching the WordPress interface.
Right. Okay. So it's like an intermediary translates on both sides. Make sure the protocols are communicating properly. So we're running out of time here. I want to talk to you about your business. Like, how can people, I assume you set these automations up, you sell the automations as well for workflows, and then you probably have like a white glove service where you can come in and maybe set it up as well.
Absolutely. So the way we are targeting is at this point of time, I already have a couple of clients with me, thankfully, and they're so far so good. Things are going well. Actually trying to go to the market in a much more strategic way. So I'm not really focused on the financial part of it, but most likely to build a good client base with me. That's what my focus is at this point of time. Right. Okay. So the name of my business is called OneZip Norway. If you Google onezip.com, you'll see that there's a web page called OneZip Automations, and where we say that we offer 3 days of free trial on the automations if we are promising that we will deliver the automations. And if only it is working for you, it's only then you come back and pay. You don't need to pay anything if it is not working for you.
That's awesome. That model is so fantastic because any business owner out there, even like personal folks that just are influencers, they can now go try your tools, try the wares for 72 hours. And if they're successful, that visual present, they're getting the feedback from their social media, they like it. Okay, now go and pay. And I like your name as well too, OneZip Norway. So you're kind of doing a play on like, hey, this is OneZip, but it's like Norway's version of OneZip.
Yeah. Well, I'm based out of Norway. So and we take a lot of pride to actually put the name Norway to many different places. So wherever we have. So yes, when I was doing the searching or the research about my company, name of the company, I just promptly went to a GPT and said that, hey, give me some names. I'm based out of Norway. This is this. And it spit out some 10 names, honestly. Yeah. And the name which actually came out to be a little catchy, OneZip. What is so zippy about it? I said, okay, this is the one place where you are zipping up all the automations together. So that's why it's called OneZip. I said, oh yeah, okay, this makes sense. Okay, so let's make OneZip. And immediately, I think I started looking for the domain, and the domain was also available. I said, thank God, everything's available. So yeah, tick, it just spawned up.
Was the social media platforms available? All the handle?
Yeah, it's not yet fully up because I'm too busy into it, but I'm not able to find some time. But once I have some time, I'll get the LinkedIn is, in a way, it is available because I remember that I had to actually put a LinkedIn in order to get some official documentation done in Norway. So that is available. But then
build a little tool because I ran into this issue as well. The HTML tool basically goes out and searches all those handles across all the social medias to make sure it's available before I go buy the domain, right? So I bought Iconic Combinator. So we have a free school. Obviously, I bring all of the folks that are launching their businesses and starting businesses, and then we all work together to help each other. It's like a mentorship. We share tools and classrooms, courses, and all that kind of stuff. So I'd love to invite you as well. But this tool is basically for entrepreneurs saying, hey, it'd be a really cool name, like, speakerphones.com or whatever. But then they go and then they go to the social media and it's taken. So then they're like, okay, it's going to be speakerphones 1.
Yeah.
And then on Instagram, it's going to be speakerphone 2, 3, 4. And then they have all the random handles all over the place. So I was saying if it's available now, just go get it, even if it just sits there.
Absolutely. And that's one of the reasons why I have another domain called Slowgrammer. So this is the domain which the N8N guy, I think Max talks about it a lot, the original Slowgrammer. I said, Max, I'm going to bump you. I'm going to take it. And believe it or not, Max actually came back and pinged me. Hey, Pratik, do you have this? I said, yeah, I have that.
No kidding.
Do you want to collab? I said, why not, man? Let's talk.
Let's go. That's a really go buy their domain before then and then say, hey, let's set her up.
Yeah, but at the same time, I didn't have any bad intentions as such. I said, Max, you don't have to collab with me or anything as such. Yeah. It's free for you. If you want to, please go ahead and use it. I'll transfer it happily to you. No worries about it. So he's a very nice friend of mine. So
good. I'm glad to hear that. Thanks, Pratik. I really appreciate your time here. We're coming.
Thank you.
I'll put your data in the description because this will go on YouTube, and then I'll invite the whole community as well. Really look forward to where your business takes you. Thank you.
Great, man. Thanks, Sonic.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Just bye-bye.
Bye.